Hello, Watchdogs. Roger Welch here. Thank you for joining us. This is our official first Cedar Hill Watchdog Group podcast. I'm pleased to announce that I'm doing it with Sam Angueira and his son Dennis. Sam is a neighbor of mine, racquetball buddy. Love the guy. Just look at his son and you'll know why. Sam is somebody to be admired for how he takes care of his disabled son and how he takes care of his family. And I've known him for several years, and he is a man of high integrity. Just want you to know I haven't mentioned anything at all in advance what I'm going to talk to him about or any of the questions I'm going to ask him. So this is just going to be kind of a free-flowing conversation. Like I said, this is our first podcast, and we'll see how it goes. Folks know what I've been working on, the city cleanliness issues, the school issues, etc. So, obviously those things are going to come up. So without further ado, let's rock and roll with it. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Sam to just introduce himself a little bit, indicate when he moved here, why he moved here, and just let him introduce himself so you can kind of get to know who he is a little bit.
Well, Roger, thank you, and for this opportunity. Currently, my profession is a commercial lender. So I deal with businesses on a daily basis. As far as moving here, I finished that building, the home, in February of 2016 is when I occupied. Been here since then. Enjoyed every minute of it. Reason for picking this area, it was for the ability for me to have you want to call it a paradise for myself, where I can rest and recharge every day. Neighbors have been great. Dialogue with the neighborhood is always entertaining at best. With some of the neighbors that we have. I enjoy, the company and the tranquility, if anything, and that my family and I would want.
Well, let me just jump in here. I mean, you deserve it, Sam. For folks who don't know, Dennis, who's become a good friend of mine, he wears my Watchdog Group shirt sometimes, is completely disabled, requires 24/7, 365 care, and the man who does that is Sam. And Dennis's quality of life is directly tied to Sam's care. I can't even begin to tell you how much I respect him for what he does and how he takes care of his family. So when he talks, I listen. So go ahead, Sam. Talk to me a little bit more about when you moved here to Cedar Hill, what you thought you mentioned you moved into Lakeridge for the tranquility, but what were you looking for in a city?
A city that would be, I guess, away from the hustle and bustle. I'm a city slicker. I grew up in New York City. I lived in Chicago. So it's no fun when you have people living on top of each other. I mean, that's the way of life in the city. So when I saw Cedar Hill, and although the population was 50,000, I found it to be nice. It reminded me of Mayberry, USA, so to speak. Yeah. And I kind of like that. It was tranquility. People were friendly. People are friendly, in today's world, you don't find too much of that. But that's what brought me here. I just liked it. You know, there was no rushing, no vandalism or all the crazy stuff that you would find in a urban city.
Has it met your expectations?
Lately, not really, because as the city is trying to expand, I think it forgets its idea that it wanted to be a premier city. And what I find to be a problem, any premier city starts with its premier education.
Yeah.
That's where you go.
Right.
You start with education and you work your way up.
Right.
Because most parents that are moving here, the younger generations, that are professional, because that's what you want to attract, the professionalism of individuals and their educational status. They bring in, they want to make sure that their children are getting the best, even in public education. I always thought I had public education. I didn't have a problem with it. Even in the city of New York City, it's not that great. But hey, I mean, I knew my alphabet, I knew my math, I knew my reading.
Right.
Just basic stuff.
Right.
Here it seems like when I started digging in, because what interests me the most after the fact that I moved here, although my children were already grown and not going to the school system, what woke me up was the tax bill. When 48% of my taxes go to education, I started asking, well, what am I getting for that 48%? I don't mind paying for it, but what are we getting for it?
Mm-hmm.
And what I found out, and obviously you did more, you went in further, but from what I saw is that this school system was failing for the last 5 years. 5 years.
At least. It's been
At least.
actually
I know it's been
a couple
more,
decades. Yeah.
but what I've seen has been degrading for the last 5.
Right.
So ever since COVID, from 2020 to the present, this educational system in Cedar Hill is not improved under no circumstance. And that to me just gives the state more of a reason to take it over.
Yeah.
Now when the state gets involved, just like when the feds get involved in something, it's never any good, trust me. I by the way have worked for the federal government for a while. And I can see the damage that they do instead of the helping that they're supposed to do.
Yes.
So,
Sadly, the students in the Cedar Hill district, a vast majority of them are not reading or functioning in several basic subjects at their grade level.
well, Roger, that's noticeable even when you go to the local stores or fast food joints within the city. The younger generations who service us as a customer, they don't even have basic conversational. They can't even have a discussion. They can't even look at you in the eye. They can't even tell you when you give them a $10 bill to pay for a $6 a meal. They got to use the cash register. They can't figure it out. Just basic mathematics.
Yeah.
What they got to give you back is change.
Yeah.
So that's an issue to me. That's reflective of the overall education as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because they are local young youth that live in our city. So that's coming from the school system.
Yeah. Let me just I can't disagree with you at all. Let me just interject for the benefit of the audience. There is a little bit of hope in that I've developed a relationship with Dr. Denise Roach Davis enough that we can communicate, and I discern that she understands the challenges that we are facing. I discern that she agrees with us, frankly, that the schools are failing and there needs to be drastic action. Mm-hmm. She has initiated, which have been completed, a couple community planning meetings under the facilitation of a consultant, and those are being followed up now under the direction of the consultant to flesh out a district improvement plan for 25-26. So I've got to give her props. I mean, I know that nothing, especially a problem that has developed over a couple decades, is not going to be fixed overnight.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to give her all the support I can in terms of the direction that she's heading.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud her for that, and obviously as a watchdog group we're going to be watching that carefully as we go along, and we hope that train stays on the tracks. On the other hand, though, I'm sure you've seen me post about it, and I've said many times, any organization rises and falls on the leadership.
Absolutely.
So, I've been blunt in my statements in previous videos that along with this plan that's being developed, even if it's the best plan that's ever been put together on this planet, without a leader who can implement it,
It's useless.
It's useless.
Yes, I agree.
So we're waiting and watching to see what's going to happen on that front. All I can do is at this point keep my fingers crossed and keep providing any input that they will allow me to provide. If you had a magic wand, what kind of suggestions would you have as a citizen in the city?
The question I have, or not, it's more questions than solutions, is where's the overall city? Where is not only the overall city, the government part? Are they helping the independent school district find solutions? The other issue I have, or not even an issue, what I don't see, and this is, I think, a symptom of overall society, is that I don't see the citizens of the city involved. Yeah, it's great, we got a watchdog group, but that's only so many.
Right.
I mean, it's spectacular. Back in the day when we were into analog and we had newspapers to read,
Right.
the news would be out quickly in the paper.
Right.
So now we are in the world of digital, and everything is TikTok or Snapchat or whatever you want to call it. That's great, but we got to get back to the basics. People got to get involved. If you're not involved, you're going to be the victim regardless if you want to be or not.
You know what? I'm so happy that you said that, because I totally 100% agree with you that without parental involvement and to some extent community involvement, we're going to be struggling.
You're fighting against the wind.
Yeah.
You're fighting against the wind.
How do we get disenfranchised, apathetic parents involved?
People only react when it hits their pocketbook. That's the only thing I've noticed that they react. For instance, when I deal with business owners in trying to give them a solution for their financial needs for their business to operate properly, I suggest management of changes, operational changes, improvement on turning revenue. I give them all the suggestions. If they don't do it, they're still going to be in the same boat, and I can't help them. And that's people in general. That's even because I know that parents in today's world, they're too busy making sure that the bills are paid, that the kids are fed, that there's clothes on their back. That's great, But there's another side to that. There's the mental side and the spiritual side. I'm not a spiritual guy, but that also plays a part. But the mental side, meaning the mind, you gotta, don't slap them with the iPad and tell them go play a game while you're doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah. How about, no, I totally agree. As far as a trajectory forward and upward, it would seem to me that the culture of the schools would need to really be worked on and literally flipped from one that elevates sports, fine arts. When you've got the majority of your students not functioning at their grade level, why not work every day to flip the culture so that basic academics become what's celebrated and what's on the dashboard? Why can't the teachers make that their number one priority every day? Why can't we bring in volunteers from the community? All parents are not going to do this. Maybe even all parents are not even qualified to do this. But why can't we bring in parents during school hours to tutor and mentor within guidelines developed by the district and materials developed by the district to work with some of these kids, with a lot of these kids who are underachieving?
Well, Roger, what I found out the other day on the beginning of the month, I was at a business event here in Cedar Hill, and I didn't realize that Cedar Hill has a Cedar Hill Independent School District Foundation that's geared apparently to help the students. Okay, why is this a secret? This should be out. This is something I found out just because I just happened to be at this this event for something else, and this came out. I'm like, okay, so you're there to help them, scholarship to help them transition from their senior year in high school to college. What are you doing prior to that? I mean, I don't understand. So what I also noticed, look, technology has been a big positive effect for everyone in general.
Yeah.
However, like a sword that has a double-edged sharpness, can cut you both ways.
Right.
And what I mean by that is, you know what? Your student is your student. When they walk in that door, they're a student. Not bringing their cell phones to class and reading their TikTok and their whatever else they're doing. They're there to learn.
I'm hoping they take the cell phones. I'm hoping they don't allow those in the classroom.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Because I've asked younger kids that I know go to one school. I asked them if they take their phones with them. I said, yeah, we're allowed to take them. I said, why do you need a phone? Why do you need a cell phone? Well, what they say, we communicate with each other. I said, but you're there to learn. And you communicate with your people when you're at lunch, or you're in gym, or you have recess. That's your communication.
Right.
I said, what do you need a phone for? Oh, just in case with all the shootings. That's an excuse now. I says, I remember as a kid, we used to drill for nuclear attacks, right? We used to hide under the desk.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's what we used to do. So now it's the issue of for an active shooter. What is that? That's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
That's pathetic. But
yeah,
anyway.
Unfortunately, those things happen, and we have to be prepared for them. We could talk about the schools all day long because the problems are so entrenched. But there are solutions.
Oh, yes, there are.
There are solutions. And before we get off this topic, I just want to bring us back to leadership. With the proper leadership, it can be done.
Yes, it can.
It can be done.
Yep.
If we don't get the proper leadership, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Flipping over to the city again, how do you feel about the clean initiatives and with this and how that's going?
I gotta admit, it looks a little better this spring coming in than it did last spring. Last spring, it looked like I thought I was back in the Bronx, back in the day where all the garbage was throughout the streets. You know, nothing was clean. But they're getting there. They're on top of it. As a matter of fact, I noticed down 67 for a couple of days, almost a week, there was an abandoned trailer.
Right, I noticed that myself.
And today, on the way back home, I noticed that there was a Cedar Hill officer there. I guess they were working on getting it towed out of
I
there.
got you.
So, at least there's effort, you know. But the problem I have, Roger, why do we as citizens have to remind the city that that's a basic service that they should be providing? That's a basic thing that they should be paying attention to, not us bringing it to their attention. I know that I see Cedar Hill personnel driving all over the city when I'm out and about. It's not like they don't have eyes either. As a citizen, I gotta remind them, hey guys, let's clean this up. You want to be a premier city, but you're looking like a dump, like somebody threw a bomb in here and we haven't picked up the pieces yet.
Yeah. You know, I don't have to agree with you that it has improved. Does it completely meet the standard I would like to see? I have to admit no. But I'm not sure if they have been able to hire all of the extra help that they were going to hire with that $200,000 that they allocated for the cleanliness initiatives. But one thing I will have to say, and last year was terrible. What really grinds me is high weeds and all of that. I recognize that the blue bonnets is something that people want. Unfortunately, at some point they'll get overgrown by the weeds.
Yes.
But having said all that, I'm noticing that it's not grinding on me quite as much if there's not a bunch of trash in there.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
What's becoming more evident to me is that it's the trash that is the most irritating, and that makes us look
terrible,
like a dump.
Yeah. Well, that's why that word premier, you throw it around like that means something.
Yeah.
And if you're not there, don't even talk about it.
Right. Hey, for the audience, I just want to again, if you're not aware, let you know that here recently I did meet with Melissa Valdez Cummings, the new city manager.
Right.
Now she hasn't been on the job, but for I don't know what, maybe 6 months or so now.
Yeah, it's about 6 months.
Yeah. It's no secret. I came down pretty hard on the city for several weeks and months. Posting videos and, some of it, was pretty hard hitting, I'll have to admit. I was trying to get people's attention.
Well,
and this was back under the Greg Porter days.
Correct.
But what I wanted to let people know is when I met with Melissa, I will have to say, she is such a nice lady, and it's not that she disarmed me by being such a nice person. She laid out for me she gave me a copy of the city 5-year plan that the city had never had before.
Right.
They never had a 5-year plan until Melissa came along.
Right.
So that was the first. Within her first 6 months, she put together, had a planning retreat with the city council, and put together a 5-year plan. Now, Is it as comprehensive as it might be next year, the year after, or thereafter? When we tweak it and when they find out what's working and what isn't working? Probably not.
Right.
But she did it.
Right.
So, folks, we have to give Melissa props for that. And she told me face to face that she wants the same thing that we want. She was instrumental in working with the council, giving them various options on how we could add resources to the Clean Initiative. It wasn't real easy at first, but we ended up with a couple $100,000.
Right.
So, as a watchdog group, I think we have a responsibility to always tell the truth, and I have to give, and that also means when you see that somebody's trying to do the right thing,
Yeah.
and there is visible results, like a 5-year plan,
Right.
and things are getting cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
She told me she drives 67 just like I do.
Right.
She sees the same stuff that I do.
Exactly.
She told me that she wants the same thing that I do.
Right.
We know that 67 is right through, figuratively speaking,
The heart.
the living room of Cedar Hill.
Exactly correct.
So, Melissa, if you happen to see or hear this podcast video, I want you to know from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for the direction that you're heading, and we support you in those efforts, and I don't know what else to say, but keep up the good work. What else can you think of regarding the city that we should take a look at and or
So
might need some attention?
Yeah, I joined the chamber recently.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was at that one event, getting to know who's who and what's what. And as I look, work in the city, as I move around in the city, you want to see, business flourish. And the other day when I was over at Midlothian down 67, and I'm looking at Lowe's is getting built.
Right.
I'm saying to myself, what the heck? Why is Lowe's in Midlothian and we got a Home Depot? Why can't you have Lowe's close by?
Right. Normally that's the way it
In Cedar
is.
Hill.
That's the way it is normally.
So that tells me there's something wrong here.
Right.
So why did Lowe's not look at, or did they look at Cedar Hill and realize it's not for them? I mean, I don't know.
Could it be the schools again?
Hey, that's possible because, as a business, I can tell you, business wants to have constant flow of clients.
Right.
If you don't have clients coming in your door, even if you're soliciting clients to come to you, and they don't want to come to that neighborhood, you're going to go out of business. You're not going to survive.
Right.
So, perfect example of, there's a couple of places that closed up over there. I know you like to go to, you've been to KFC. The one that was there before, next to it, was the donut place.
Oh yeah, Krispy Kreme.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
that closed up.
Right.
There was another operation.
Was that TGI Fridays down there?
Yeah, they closed. They closed. Look, businesses are going to come and go. The question becomes is trying to keep as many business opportunities available within the city as well. I mean, yes, education is important. Housing is definitely important because that follows education. The ability to have a business to operate, to prosper, to make sure that the community is growing, that the
Right.
city is growing.
Right.
Revenues are there. Now the revenues, that means you can pay for infrastructure. You don't have to struggle to figure out what's priority to pay this month as opposed to next month. You have income coming in. Now that's another thing. I really haven't looked at is the financial management of the city of Cedar Hill. I mean, I have not looked at that, which I think that's got to come to play, because if Lake Ridge represents 1/5 of the city, I'm assuming they're getting some nice dollars from us. What are they doing with the money? How are they really spending it? I mean, for them to be struggling for the clean initiative deals, that shouldn't even be a struggle.
Well, you know what, Sam? I'm not sure where they're at right now, but I know at one point last year they were running about $1 million behind
I don't
in their
understand.
sales tax revenue.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Yeah,
That tells you that other cities
are thriving.
are getting
The money.
Cedar Hill business.
That's exactly correct.
Why
That's
is
it.
that?
No, you're not making it attractive enough. Okay, so you have an economic development corp for Cedar Hill, I believe Cedar Hill.
There is, yes.
Yeah. So what is that entity doing for the city? I mean, besides having a couple of good old fellas together, they know each other for many years, and hey man, let's just, you know.
Well, it sounds like you're kind of like me. Activity is one thing, results is another.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm totally about results.
That's right.
Don't talk to me about what you've done. I want to see what comes out as an output.
That's exactly correct.
Whether it's the schools, city cleanliness,
Right.
or anything else.
That's right.
And prioritization of resources. Are you going to build, big edifices? I know they're going to put. They're looking at adding on to the Allen Sims Recreation Center,
Okay.
which, I'm reluctant to say too much about that, but it grinds me on one level, because I'm thinking, okay, when I drive through the city and I see streets that need to be improved, I don't know. My philosophy is that you take care of the basics first.
Yeah.
And
Well, I agree with
Am I
that.
wrong?
No. I understand, and I agree with that. It's the same issue I had when they built this library, spending $10 million or whatever it
I
was
think it was more like 40 or 60.
to build a library that we live in an age of digital technology. So you can get the paper books digitally now. So what are you building a library of? Does it even have books in that library? I ran in there one time.
Not that many. Many of the shelves were empty the last time I was in there. So, I can see why people would want, this kind of quote unquote little crown jewel in the city. But are you going to put a fake facade on the outside of your house if the paint is peeling on the inside?
That's what it sounds like.
Again, to me, once we get all the basics, we get all the roads fixed, the city cleaned up, make it welcome, welcoming
that's the
and
key.
inviting,
That's the key.
then
Yep.
start doing this other stuff
Yeah.
that makes it a destination point.
I agree.
So, I don't totally agree with everything that they're doing, and I know that, we as citizens, there's only so much we can say and do.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they didn't even have any opposition. The city council members that ran this last time, they didn't even have any opposition.
And that's the problem. Okay. So this is an issue I've been running into lately in many venues. City is one of them. When you look at the council and the officials that were elected in play, and you look at their track record, I'm not impressed at all. Under no circumstance.
No, how could you be?
So my question is, as citizens, why do we keep making the same mistake over and over again?
Is it apathy?
It has to be. I mean, there's got to be people.
Well, that's why I started this group. I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I'm trying to make things a little bit visible.
Well, evidently, I think we gotta do a little more hollering on that side of the street because it's not catching on,
Yeah,
and it's gonna have to be.
yeah.
You're gonna, you know what? Look, I don't like pointing the finger. That doesn't resolve anything. Pointing fingers, okay?
But you have to identify the problem. Otherwise,
Put the
it's not
light
gonna
on
get
it.
fixed.
Put the light on it.
Right.
Let's put the light on it. Let's call it for what it is, and let's discuss it. Let's discuss it. So that's when I talk. That's what I call participation.
Yeah.
The more people you get into the conversation without shouting at each other or over each other, just talk about it. Let's yeah, some people feel it's a personal hit to them. Okay, look.
Let's put our egos aside.
That's the
Sam.
problem.
Let's be servant leaders.
Well,
Let's have enough confidence in ourselves
right.
that when people come at us with stuff that we know is not right,
Right.
just let it flow.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go.
You know, like I said, I told you earlier, I'm not a spiritual guy, but there are certain sayings that do come to roost. That eventually the truth will reveal itself.
Right.
Eventually.
Right.
Let's just hope we haven't lost too much where it's not recoverable.
Right.
Because when it's not recoverable, people start leaving.
Right.
And you think you had a problem with the city now? It'll be worse. It just gets worse.
Right.
And you don't want this to escalate to a negative environment.
You just triggered my thinking on something. I went to the city council meeting on Tuesday evening.
Right.
And I had the opportunity to briefly touch base with Melissa, the city manager. And one of the comments I made to her, and I was sincere with this, I said, after I met with you, you kind of make me want to live here in Cedar Hill.
There you go.
That's important.
No, yeah.
That's important.
Absolutely.
So, to wrap up this segment, I don't want it to go too long, but I really appreciate your input here. And to me, this is just the start of, let's get more and more people.
You should.
If they sit down at this table, it causes people to think about the issues and where they fit into the picture. This is all of our homes.
Exactly. That's the way I look at it. This is an asset that you're protecting. This is an asset that you hope later on down the road, either you can cash it in or you can pass it on to those that will be inheritors of your asset. And hopefully it will be better for them. That's the only thing we do.
That's it.
That's all we do it for. Nothing else. There's no other agendas. There's no, I want power.
No.
It's
No, that's not what it's
silly.
No.
It's silly. So.
Right. Well, okay, to end this segment, folks, I just want to, again, just say that on the two initiatives that we've been working on, the two people that we need to really get behind, because I do believe they have our best interest at heart, is the new city manager, Melissa Valdez Cummings, for the city issues, and Dr. Denise Roach Davis. She's demonstrated to me that she is willing to work really hard. Now, whether it's too late or not, we don't know, but she's willing to work very hard to try to turn this school district around, and for that, we are extremely grateful, and we want them to know that we as a citizenry and this watchdog group, we are behind them 100%. So with that, we'll sign off. I want to again thank Sam and Dennis. He's been sitting there very patiently. Dennis, you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's okay. Excellent. All right, folks. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to you again.